Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1741. Today we're going to learn about a safer and better way to buy a used car with Lemon Squad. Hold on, it's as fun as a glass of lemonade.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Seattle, just a little north of Gig Harbor, with a very nice returning guest, Ed Peterson. Ed, welcome to Cars Yeah. I should say welcome back to Cars Yeah. You still have your seatbelts on, buckled up, ready for a fun ride?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me back.
Well, I'm very excited. I told Ed I saw a television advertisement with Chris Jacobs, who's well-known on television. He's been a guest here on Cars Yeah, become a friend of mine, about this company called Lemon Squad. And I went, Lemon Squad? What's Lemon Squad? So, of course, I go online, I Google it, I look it up, and lo and behold, it's my friend Ed from Wrench, and he's got another little venture going. This guy never stops. He's like the Energizer Bunny. So I would like to start the show before I give you a proper introduction here. If I was going to go and buy a used car, Ed, what's one question I should ask of the seller?
Oh boy, one question would be, has it ever been in an accident? Obviously would be the core one, right?
Yeah.
And I would start with the very basics. And then, from there, you start running through kind of your checklist around the engine, right? And, what are the other problems you might have had with the vehicle? The used car space is, to your point, fascinating because it's so big and it's growing. It's up 20% year over year. People are buying used cars right now. And, I think, there's 17 million new cars-ish, kind of in that ballpark, sold every year in the U.S., but there's 40 to 41 million used cars sold.
Whoa.
Now, why is that kind of important? Yeah, I mean, it's an enormous number, but here's where it really is kind of fascinating. About half, and I would argue a little more than half, are either peer-to-peer, me buying a car from you, or from a kind of a buy here, finance here, buy here, pay here lot. The challenge you get with that oftentimes, it isn't a CPO, in other words, a certified pre-owned vehicle. It is a as-is type vehicle. And you had mentioned, Wrench, right? And when we started Wrench, we always had this one very, very simple mission, which was to remove the hassle of vehicle ownership.
Right.
And we define that as trust, transparency, and convenience. How do we, solve those three things? And, if you think about the first point where that really comes into play, it's not identifying the car because, most people go in and they're kind of like, hey, I'd like to buy this type of car. And it's either make or model or its price. And they kind of have it narrowed down. And there are a lot of great tools and sites out there and resources to be able to kind of find what's available out there. But that first uneasy spot is where, I am not an ASE certified technician. I can look at a car and I can kind of have I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not sure that, you'd want me coming over and doing a full rundown on your vehicle. And so that first spot of uneasiness from our mindset was, wow, I found a car that I think is pretty neat and I'd love to buy it. How do I make sure that I'm buying something that I can really, I can believe in? And that's where the idea around Lemon Squad really came from. It was, How do we go to people with a very simplistic thing, whether it's everything from kind of a standard car. I'm buying a 2014 Honda Accord to an exotic. I mean, I'm buying a new Ferrari or a new to me Ferrari, if you will, to a classic. I'm looking for that 64 Mustang or Vet or something like that. And so there's a whole range of different kind of expertises that we then connect the right person with the right vehicle to make sure that the person who is acquiring really has a good sense that they know what they're getting into.
I love it. Well, let me give you a proper introduction, and we're going to dive deeper into Lemon Squad. Love the name, by the way. Ed Peterson is the CEO at Wrench and Lemon Squad. He studied history and business at Whittier College, where he graduated and then went on, I should say, to become an entrepreneur. Ed participated in the founding of multiple technology and data companies before he founded Wrench about 6 years ago, I believe that was, in January 2016. Yeah, we are in 2021. Here we go. Ed recognized that there was a need in the auto repair industry for a newer, more efficient, trustworthy, and convenient way for consumers. Next up, Lemon Squad, a mobile used car pre-purchase inspection service that helps you see a little bit into the future, a little bit of a crystal ball here before you hand over your hard-earned money for that used vehicle. First, Wrench was born and now Lemon Squad, and he's disrupting the industry in a very good way. We'll be back in a minute to talk with Ed, but first a word from our very valued sponsors. Give them a little love. We'll be right back. Did you know Covercraft offers you much more than just car covers? They make quality protection for the inside of your vehicle as well. Their plush, custom-fit floor mats turn any ride into something special. Or choose Premier Berber custom floor mats. They're a favorite of mine. Covercraft floor mats are quality made and provide your ride with the ultimate protection from moisture, dirt, mud, snow, and slush. Don't forget your vehicle's trunk area too. Their Carhartt custom cargo liners not only look great, but keep your rear cargo area and seats protected. Custom fit trunk liners for sedans, coupes, and SUVs are perfect to protect the factory carpets from all those things that can stain and damage the carpets. All your options are quality made, easy to clean, secure to the floor, and look oh so good. Check out covercraft.com for a variety of styles, colors, and options for your special vehicles. And I've got a very special deal from Cars Yeah. Use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com and you'll get 10% off your Covercraft order. That's right, 10% off. Just use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. American Collectors Insurance. That's who now protects my Porsche Turbo, the one I call my Orange Crush. They've been protecting vehicles since 1976. With all the time, effort, and money you've put into your classic vehicles, do you know how much you would receive if yours was stolen, damaged, or totaled in an accident or a fire? Your regular auto insurance carriers won't tell you until after the claim, and more than likely, you'll be in for a rude awakening. With an agreed value policy from American Collectors Insurance, you'll be paid your vehicle's full agreed value. No surprises. So don't just hope for a fair claim settlement. Be certain and know exactly what you'll get with an agreed value policy. I shopped around and decided to protect my car with American Collectors Insurance. Give them a call today for a quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324 and protect the ones you love. Tell them Mark Green at Cars Yeah sent you. That's American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors, folks just like you and me. All right, we are back. Now, I typically ask my guests for an inspirational quote, but you've already been on the show, and I loved your quote from last time, and I encourage my listeners to go back and listen to that show. But his quote was, "No complex problem is solved well in isolation." Let's kind of dive into Lemon Squad here, because I love what you're doing. I love how this works, and the fact that those of us who go out and find a used car, which is really kind of a smart way to buy a car, right? You don't get that depreciation hit that so many, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've bought plenty of new cars, but I think I've gotten older, yes, but I've gotten wiser in my older age. Thank goodness I've gotten older. The alternative is pretty bad. And so I've realized that, you know what, maybe I don't want to throw my money away that way, but I want to still find a cool car. So let's kind of dive a little bit deeper into where this whole concept came from. And you mentioned before we got to this point where you guys not only help people with just what we would call a standard used car, but also exotics, classics, and also commercial vehicles. So tell me all about Lemon Squad.
Yeah. So, yet again, following that tradition of Wrench, which is customer experience, right? Customer, our own personal experiences. And so before I had hopped on the show, I had shared with you a new car that I had just bought. I'm a car guy. I love cars. I love, different cars.
Yeah. Now don't give that away yet, because we're going to talk about that. But I definitely want to bring that into play.
All right.
But don't give up the secret quite yet, because this thing has me excited.
Secret car.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll ask you that question in a minute.
A vehicle that I had found that I had been looking for a while, and I'm in Seattle. It was in Pennsylvania, and that was kind of like, boy, how it photos look good, reputable place.
But we've got COVID, and you really didn't want to get on an airplane and fly to Pennsylvania.
I'm not flying back to check it out. And so, I was like, the used car inspection, how do I send someone out who really is trusted that can go out and do a quick look through it, give me back a report, heck, hop on the phone with me, run through things, every last little detail that you may want. And, that is sort of the dream scenario for me. And, that is really kind of where we decided to build out this brand and really expand this out in addition to the core wrench, maintenance and repair, services. And so, yeah, it's worked. It works really, really well. I mean, we are growing and have, thousands and thousands of very, very satisfied customers. And we feel like we're doing our part to connect, car people. And, people are just getting their day-to-day car as well, with good buys where they can have the information to make a better decision.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, I asked you that very first question about what's the one first question you ask people, and then that starts to open the Pandora's box of all sorts of things. So let's talk a little bit about some of the many challenges people face when they're purchasing a used car. You just cited one. It's across the country.
Right.
Do I really want to fly all the way across the country to look at a car? Well, probably a smart idea, but in the state that we're in now with COVID, probably a dangerous idea, or maybe not so safe, or you don't feel comfortable. And why take all that time, a couple days travel, all that expense when you have Lemon Squad at your beck and call?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and to your point, I mean, it's kind of interesting because when you step back and you say, why do most people buy cars? It really does come down to two things. It's make and model. They know what they want. Right. And then it's price, right? I mean, that's sort of the other variable that's in there, obviously. And so, location is, you can get cars, shipped to you, pretty easily right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so, it's, even though if it's not, Seattle to Pennsylvania, if you will, or Washington to Pennsylvania, or it's Seattle to the suburb of Seattle, Bellevue, right? It's still kind of the same spot. Your issue is still the same, which is, is this, I don't have the knowledge to really know. I know what I like, but I'm not sure if the vehicle that I'm looking at that I like is going to cause me bigger problems down the road. And, and I think that's one of the things that you always want to kind of look at. And we wanted to arm people with that information so they could make a better decision. Kind of an interesting stat is that I think it's close to 90%, and don't hold me to that exact number, but it is something that large, of issues that happen with used cars happen within the first 100 days.
Well, when you think about people selling a used car, there's a couple reasons for it. And one could be, I think something's going to go wrong. I better dump this thing. Mm-hmm. And that's a scary thing. And that's why I say when you think about challenges that people face when they're buying a used car, and even if you're standing there looking at it, we get what's called, us car guys and car gals, we get the red mist, right? We always wanted this beautiful red Porsche. And we walk up and it's red and we see it. And I have some friends that always ask me to come with them and say, Mark, talk me out of this car because I'm going to oversee all the problems, or not oversee. I'm going to be blind to all the problems. So when people are buying cars, you mentioned engine problems as one thing. What are some other things that people are challenged by? Just lack of knowledge? Mechanical knowledge?
Yeah, it's lack of knowledge, but it's also things like rust, rust in the frame. Does it need new brakes? When was the last mileage-based service that it had? Has it been treated well? Is it just got a nice coat of wax on it? But once you get inside, the seatbelts are, are not working. Does the radio work? I mean, it continues to go. And so, you really have to do all the mirrors work. I mean, there are certain things when you kind of look at it, if you're an expert and you have a very structured process to go through, like, all right, here's our checklist. It's almost, like the pilot gets the checklist before they push back from the gate. Right. They run through. It's a similar thing. And if you know those things and you can kind of go through it, and you're used to doing it and you know what to look for, you are an expert in the field, it is really helps set our customers' mind at ease that they are making a good decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Something just came to mind, and maybe this is something that you do. Negotiations. That scares people. New cars or used cars. Should I ask the person if they'll let it go for less? Do I dare offend them? Maybe they will let it go for a lot less. Is that anything that you throw into the mix, or are you just primarily helping us see what we can't see?
Yeah, I think it really is. We're helping you see what you can't see. But to your point, it does help with if there's something, just because there is something that needs attention on a used car does not mean it is a bad used car.
Right.
So it's got 75,000 miles on it. Cars are built really well right now. They will run and run if you maintain them correctly, right? And so the average length of the car on the road keeps going up. The average length of ownership of a vehicle keeps going up. And so cars are made better. They are staying on the roads longer. So if you buy something and an inspection report comes back and says, well, it hasn't had its 75,000 preventative maintenance plan done, or it needs, new brakes eventually, or, whatever it may be, or, hey, at this stage, you might need a starter, an alternator, or, or a new battery. There's nothing wrong with that. But that information, back to your point, can be useful when you can go back and talk to someone and say, well, I'd like to buy it. You're offering here, but it needs these three things. I'll take care of it. But would you be willing to knock the price down here? Because that's going to cost me about this much money. And so without a doubt, it gets down into knowledge is king, right? Knowledge
absolutely.
is very powerful, right? And so that's really what we're trying to do.
Nice segue into my next comment, and that is Carfax vehicle reports, true market value assessments, and verbal vehicle assessment reports. Those are all things that you help, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we will bundle in a vehicle assessment. We'll bundle in a Carfax report. But the last one, I think, is really particularly where it kind of gets interesting, because even with data, if you're like me, you're kind of like, all right, I see all this, but I'm not really sure what to make of it. We do offer the ability to, we'll talk to you and walk you through it. And you will talk to an expert that says, like, we've gone out, we've looked at the car. These are the things that we would ask again. These are the things that we have noticed. These are the things that are important to understand before you buy it. And, you can kind of walk someone through whether it's that big of a deal or not. I mean, our goal is to connect buyers and sellers and make sure that the transaction is good and that everyone is happy. It is not to be, the naysayer, if you will, right? Our goal is to provide the information so that you can make a better decision.
When you go onto a dealer's lot, and you're buying a used car, you mentioned it earlier, they have certification programs. I know I've had BMWs, Porsches, where you can buy certified cars, where they basically come with some type of an extended warranty because they've gone through the vehicles, made sure, okay, these things are pretty darn good. So we don't, they're taking a gamble too, that nothing's going to go wrong, just like you are a little bit. But many cases, these other lots, used car lots that don't have those kind of things, they're not dealer backed. They're a guy who sells used cars, or an independent person selling a car can't offer any of those types of things. So you help with that. And I would assume in many cases, you guys probably come up with stuff that even the seller honestly didn't know was wrong with his own car.
Well, I think that's right. And to your point, though, even at, a Ford dealer, an Audi dealer, the brand name, the OEM dealers, there are a group of vehicles on the used lot that are not certified, don't come with a warranty, as you alluded to. And so we go out and we inspect those as well. We coordinate with the dealer. We'll go out, we show up, we run through the car, we provide back a report. And I think on the so whether it's an independent lot or whether it's that OEM type dealer, we do service those as well. And I think then back to your other point of just like, does the person who is on a peer-to-peer transaction know what's wrong with the car? No, probably not, because, they're selling it and they're moving on. And, to your point, there was some trigger. Maybe it's a life event. They're moving and they don't need the car, or you just don't want to bring it with them. Someone moved out of the house. They're teen, or they're, whoever was driving the car, or the nanny was, whatever the reason may be. I don't think it's because they're trying to, for the majority of people are not trying to just say, ooh, hope you don't look at this. I think that a lot of the times their heart is in the right spot, but they are not car people either. And so you want to have a professional come in and run through things and make sure that everyone knows what is happening with the vehicle.
Car. I love it. And I have to ask you, Lemon Squad, I assume I kind of know where the words came from, but how'd you come up with that? Because it caught my attention.
Yeah, it was a consumer friendly name. And as funny as it sounds, I mean, that is everyone's fear, right? I mean, that is the industry term. Did I buy a lemon or not? And, it's a industry term, right? You can file a lemon report. And that is when you're buying a used car, you do not want a lemon. And so, it just seemed like such a perfect fit to resonate with the consumer audience of where we really focus on this service.
Yeah. What's fun to me about it is lemons, I always think of lemonade. And, they always say turning lemons into lemonade, a sour experience into a good experience. So there we go. Lemon Squad, turning what could be a bad experience into a good experience. There's a tagline for you. You can have that one. And I love the fact that you use Chris Jacobs. He's such a great guy. He's one of those faces and those personalities you can trust, you feel good about. So kudos to you for choosing Chris to support your brand and stand behind it and promote it. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we alluded to a new vehicle that you bought. You used Lemon Squad. It was across the country. So sit tight. You're going to learn about this non-lemon lemon. I'll leave you with that. Hey, fellow inspiring automotive enthusiasts, did you know if you subscribe at carsyeah.com, I'll send you my free Filler Up book? It's an ebook filled with fuel, filler fun, and inspirational quotes from past guests here on Cars Yeah. Plus, you'll get a weekly wrap-up email from me every Friday, and your name will be in the hat for one of the many free giveaways here at Cars Yeah. Simply go to carsyeah.com and click on the free book button, and boom, you're in the club. And don't forget to subscribe to Cars Yeah on your mobile podcast app, and you'll get the Cars Yeah show delivered right to your mobile device every day, absolutely free. Inspiring automotive enthusiasts, that's what we're all about here at Cars Yeah. Thanks for listening. How did you discover your path to a fulfilling life? Too many young people flounder in finding an education and a career that fits. But for those who have a passion for cars, trucks, and motorcycles, and who love working with their hands, problem solving, and fixing things, a career as a professional auto technician is incredibly rewarding. Cars Yeah is pleased to team up with TechForce Foundation, our charity of choice, in bringing scholarships, technical education, and hands-on experience to young people so they can discover a possible future. Join me and lend your support by visiting techforce.org today. All right, we're back. We're going to give up the secret here. So what was it that you bought, Ed, that was across the country? And I know it's a vehicle you've been looking for a while for.
Boy, and by a while, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but
it's okay.
Since they rolled off the line new.
Okay.
And, so I've always kind of loved this car for whatever reason. I love the look of it. I thought it was fun. And so it is a 1994, hence I said I'll date myself a little bit, Land Rover Defender 90. And I sent you a photo of it, and you're right. The irony to it is that it is yellow.
I know. I had to laugh. I went,
but it is not a lemon.
He must have planned this. I mean, it's too perfect. You got to put a Lemon Squad logo on the side of that thing.
That's right. I should. It's it's been great, but it's funny because it is the ultimate, kind of example of just such a great service that is there. And by the way, where I bought it from was an independent dealer. They treated me really, really well. I mean, just great people and very responsive, all those sorts of things. But it was an as-is car. It had an okay amount of miles. I think it's about 55,000 miles on it for that car, which is, for a 94 was, in my opinion, was sort of a low number. But, there's rust on the bottom. It was, it had been in Vermont before. And so, there's ice, or salt on the roads and things like that. It needed a new fuel pump and, all things that I got this report back. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. At least I know what it is. And I kind of factored in, all right, what will it cost to get all that done? But everything from the tire tread was great, right? It started right on up. The AC unit works, right? All of these.
Wait, an AC unit works on an old Land Rover Defender?
Isn't that funny? Yeah. And
bonus.
It's kind of neat because it's a separate system, right? There's a heating system, and then it has, anyway, so it's a fun car.
Yeah.
But it's a great example of just kind of one of these, kind of neat vehicles, at least as a car guys, we all love, right? That are like, kind of have quirky things about them, and, getting it inspected and making sure that I kind of knew what I was getting into was great. And it was really, really useful.
Yeah, no doubt. And especially on what I would call a classic vehicle like that, because that's not really a normal, I won't use the word normal. That's not a regular used car purchase. This is kind of a
Right.
collectible, fun car, something you've lusted
It
after.
is.
I mean, those Defender 90s were so classic when they came out.
They brought them in. It is not, the right-hand steering. It is, it's still it's a U.S. car. And it has the airbag and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I think the original ones, you're right, were harder to get. But yeah, they did not make a ton of them. And funny enough, it is kind of it's not a daily driver, as you point out. So, I mean, it's a classic car, but I want to make sure that, it's not going to break down on the way to and from school or soccer practice or wherever it may be. That is really the bread and butter. That is the normal service, right? It's which is just helping people, no matter where they are, trying to make these decisions that they're uncomfortable with because they are not automotive experts.
Right. Many times we have friends who buy cars, acquaintances, people we work with, and you go out and look at it, and right away you start to see things. You almost, boy, I wonder if they knew that was a problem.
Yeah.
Or the fact of, I remember having a friend wanting a BMW and bought one in an era that BMW really wasn't that great. They had changed models and they weren't that reliable. And I'm thinking, I wish they just would have said something to me because they missed it by a year. And sure enough,
Yeah.
the car ended up being a challenge, constant problems. Like, how come your BMWs never break? Well, I bought the one before yours. That's why. So there's,
Isn't that something?
there's all those different things. So these pre-purchase inspections are incredibly valuable. And I would assume, in fact, I wouldn't even assume here, you get your money back basically, because even if you decide not to buy the car and you go, well, I spent that money to have it looked at, think of the bullets that you dodged.
Yeah, no, and that's 100% accurate, right? I mean, it really is. If anything, it's just peace of mind, right? And that's why I keep coming back to, that comment of the vast majority of things that do go wrong, in particular on a used car, do happen in that first 100 days.
Yeah.
And so, those are the things you're never going to have 100%, find everything, type of a look. You can't guarantee everything, if you will, but having that information to make that better decision and feeling more comfortable about it really is the problem we're trying to solve.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, there's people out there that believe, I only buy new cars because I don't want the trouble. And there's other people that, like I alluded to at the beginning here, are a little smarter with their money, maybe a little more frugal, or maybe their price point doesn't allow them to buy a newer BMW or Audi or Ford, whatever it is, but they want a nice car. So they buy one that's depreciated 2-3 years and they get it for half price. So let's talk a little bit about why would a used car be a great choice for people in your mind?
Yeah, well, you just nailed a bunch of the reasons for which is, and I've hit this a little bit before, which cars are built better. They just are more reliable. The average car on the road is like 12 or 13 years old right now.
Yeah.
The average person, and that's increasing, by the way, it's increasing. And the average person is holding on to their vehicle, close to 6 years. And so why I say that is that, a vehicle, there are a group of people that buy new cars, obviously to the tune of about 17 million a year in the US. And they're great. And I have bought a used car and I have bought a new car similar to you and I had experiences on all sides. And there are a variety of reasons. Sometimes people just want a new car. I mean, it's great. I mean, There's not a lot of a better feeling than rolling off a lot with a brand new car.
Oh, it feels so good.
Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And so, I mean, that really is, that's there, right? But then there's also, to your point, I mean, you can get some really kind of great deals that are out there. And if the car has been maintained or if you are interested in maintaining it, you can put that money back into it. Here's the interesting thing, though, is that, and this as well, and I'm sure many of your listeners do as well, is that there is a part with mileage and years where then, there's a reason why warranties last a certain period of time, right?
Right. Yeah.
They have done the math that, sure, things may break in that period of time, but the vast majority of things last as long as the warranty.
Yep.
And then, things do start to just need to be maintained. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means they need to be maintained. And so if you buy a used car, you may need, a water pump, a fuel pump, the belts, the mileage-based services, brakes, your rotors, all the things that you just kind of upkeep of a car. If you do, go into it with your eyes open and you say, all right, I'm buying a 5-year-old car and I kind of expect that I will have to spend, a few $100s a year for the next few years on maintenance. And if I bought a new one, you are paying for, you're paying on the front
You're
end.
probably
if you
paying
will,
thousands every year for that new car. Yeah.
Yes, right. And so, I think that's kind of factored in there. If you really kind of want to remove the emotion from it, as I say, there's the emotion of driving off with a new car is really cool. But if you want to look at it, which I do believe most people do, as a spreadsheet kind of, mathematical equation, right? Yeah, you can go through the math. And then, there's another factor in there, which is obviously something that's near and dear to to our team's heart, which is just time, right? Because, we try and free up time for people. So even with a used car, and you look at it and you say, okay, but it's going to need this work. Well, we would love to, while you're either at work or at home or whatever you're doing, not have to have you drive to the shop, not have to have you drive anywhere. We will come to you and we will perform that maintenance and repair on location for you so you can be doing something else.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I kind of always think through when you're looking at a used car, which is, hey, do you know what you're getting into? Can you factor in it, which isn't bad, that there will be maintenance, costs going forward more so than on a new car. But, it's certainly, to your point, is going to be more cost effective than even the upfront cost of a new car.
Absolutely. And for us car people, the idea of buying a car, a used car even, and then driving it home. So if it's far away, if you have that confidence when you get there that it's going to get you back home because somebody's looked at it and points out, there's a bulge in the rear left wheel on the inside that you would never see unless you crawled under it. You might want to fix that before you drive 2,000 miles back home. So there's some safety. And that was one of the things I was going to ask you, maybe just a few things. What are the most dangerous, expensive, unseen issues that people encounter with a used car that there's no way to see it until it happens?
Yeah, I think, you just talked about, again, a couple of them, right? Tires, people don't look at them. They don't know what they're looking at.
What a date code is on a tire.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. And so, you go through some of those basic things, the vast majority of people, the way they diagnose or the way they inspect their car is they turn the key, and if it starts, it's fine.
Yay! I'm a winner again today.
I drive until
Yeah,
that's it. And so I put gas in it, and it goes. And there is a chunk of time where that works really, really well. But when you're buying something, it could be your brakes are already gone, shot, right?
Yeah.
Belts worn. Not taken care of, right? I had that problem with the Defender, which was it needed a fuel pump.
Yeah.
And a fuel filter, and both. And so, those are things that, are just headaches and hassles and, that are good to know about. And I just would never have looked at that if I went and flew all the way back there, walked around the vehicle, kind of dug in and just wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those basic things on the safety side are really, really important. Again, you go back to the basics also of asking, hey, has it ever been in an accident? Right. You want to make sure the frame is not tweaked, if you will. Right. There's things like that.
I was going to say, I'd be remiss not to mention this. I had a guest on my show named Jerry Cox, who wrote a book called Killer Airbags. Now, this is a great point on dangerous things. It's a great story about how these Takata airbags in cars, including mine, have been replaced twice now because they were defective first, and then the replacements were defective, and they had to replace them again. These airbags are in Hondas, they're in Mercedes-Benz cars, a whole bunch of cars. Now, as a consumer, you would not perhaps know that if you're going from one mark to the other. Recalls, and that's what I'm getting to, is recalls, knowing that has the vehicle had recalls, because that's something people don't ever think about at all. In fact, recalls as a general thing, I think they do a great disservice to people, because you get this stupid little card in the mail that looks like a piece of junk mail. And if you don't really look at it, it'd be easy to miss it. And in the case of these airbags that have killed dozens of people. Yeah. So there's another example of using somebody like Lemon Squad to go through this checklist to make sure that all those things are done that you don't think about when you're looking at that shiny piece of metal sitting there and it's the blue car you always wanted. You're going to buy that car no matter what.
That's right.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Well, I always ask my guests about great resources. I'm going to throw in, obviously, wrench.com, lemonsquad.com. Right. Yeah, these two resources, because these are resources that you listeners are go-tos you can use. And if you missed my first talk with Ed when he was on the show last year, it's still up on the Cars Yeah website or on your mobile podcast app. Go back and listen and learn more about Wrench, because they can make your life easier too. Really, you guys are all about saving time.
That's what we're about. Yeah. I mean, as I always say, it's removing the hassle of vehicle ownership. And that's trust, transparency, and convenience. Yeah. That's it. Right. We want to make sure that we solve those problems for vehicle owners.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm really excited about what you're doing. You just keep coming up with cool ideas. I don't know what your next idea is going to be, but when you come up with it, you give me a call and let me know. Listeners, again, check out lemonsquad.com. If you're going to be buying a vehicle, this is the way to go. Get some different eyes on it. So as I say, get the red mist out of your brain when you're looking at a car and get somebody, if you can't bring your best pal along who's an expert to talk you out of that vehicle, Lemon Squad is your next best answer. In fact, if that friend is me, Lemon Squad's going to be better because they're a lot smarter than I am when it comes to this. I'm probably going to get caught up in the motion as well. Ed, anything else you wanted to add before I let you go today?
No, I appreciate it. And we'd love to, continue chatting with you and your users and your listeners. And it's always fun to catch up. And thank you so much for the time.
This has been great. Again, lemonsquad.com. Also check out wrench.com. You can find out both of these businesses, what they do, how they can help you, whether it's servicing your vehicle, getting it fixed so you can keep living your life, or inspecting that Defender that you always wanted. And
there you go.
You can go to Ed's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website and see a picture of that with his smiling face because he's so happy he had Lemon Squad. Check out his sweet lemon, I will say, that right. Yellow Defender before it became a sour lemon. Ed, thanks for being so generous today and returning to Cars Yeah with your time and your experience. Until you and I talk again, my friend, we'll get out and enjoy a little bit of rare sunshine here in the winter. Seattle, I'll see you down the road.
Sounds great. Thank you again.
You're welcome. So what do you do after running a race team for 27 years with over 100 podiums, multiple Daytona wins, and a win at Le Mans? Well, if you're a racer and the Racers Group team owner, Kevin Buckler, you found Adobe Road Winery. Located in Petaluma, California, he and his team have created a winning combination with the Racing Series. 4 ultra-premium red wine blends that are in a class of their own. Like racing, these wines comprise of art, precision, engineering, science, all wrapped in a whole lot of fun. You can choose from 4 blends titled Redline, Apex, Shift, and the 24. Today I'm going to talk about the 24. This wine earned 91 plus points from Robert Parker's Wine Advocate. It's a dark, spicy, and velvety blend with ripe blue and black fruits and very smooth tannins. The label features a 3-dimensional full metal chronograph in a bright gold finish that pays homage to the Daytona Rolex winners received at Le Mans. The Racing Series is a fantastic gift for the ultimate enthusiast in your life. And I've got a deal for you today. If you use the code CARSYEAH, all one word, all in caps, when you're at the AdobeRoadWinery.com checkout, you get $10 off any purchase of wines from the Racing Series. Your wine ships promptly and arrives quickly right at your door. Use the code CARSYEAH at checkout to get $10 off your purchase of the Racing Series today. There's always a seat at the table for excellence with the Racing Series. Go to Adobe Road Wines today and use the code CARSYEAH at checkout. Cheers!
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.